Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we're anything but straight. I'm Ruby.
And I'm Kyra.
And welcome to today's episode. And before we keep going, I just want to mention, yes, we know Space isn't here. He's currently in my basement. I pointed at my basement door and went, Space, there's hot guys in pup hoods. And all last thing I heard was, puppies! And he ran down there and he's just down there.
He does love those puppies.
We'll let him out before the next episode.
Yeah, if you listen really closely, you can hear him scratching at the door.
Yeah, but that is because today's topic is the Therian Takeover.
Yes.
So it's a bunch of us Therians going at it. And we have a guest, if Kyra, you want to introduce them.
Of course, we have a very special guest today. Its name is Laika. They use its pronouns, and it is here to tell us about Therianthropy. It's the creator of the Therian Flag, which is super cool and exciting, and it gets to tell us all about that.
Woohoo.
Howdy, y'all. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Very nice to have you.
Yeah, thank you for considering me, y'all.
All right, so I guess I'm going to kind of do like the general of like, okay, so what is Therian? And yeah, y'all have added a longer definition than what I had.
A very long one, so you can abbreviate it if necessary. Yeah. Hit the major points. But we've talked about Therianthropy in the past, but we wanted to do an episode on it because, you know, we have a lot of fans who identify as Therian. A lot of us identify as Therian, so we wanted to kind of give an explanation.
We also have a bunch of people that aren't sure because they're like, I think I do, but I don't know enough. So like we usually do, we make a topic about it and make an episode.
This will be an entertaining and educational episode.
Yes. Therianthrope, or Therian for short, is someone who identifies as an animal, usually psychologically, spiritually, or sometimes even physically. It can either be an extinct or, sorry, I'm trying to read the definition. It could be
extant.
Either extant animal.
Yeah, an extinct or an extant. Yeah, whatever. Fictional or mythical. There's also otherkin, which follows in your non-animals. So your fae, I guess vampires. Do dragons? Which file does dragons fall under?
I feel like that would be mythical, right?
Dragons kind of fall under both because at this point, Therian is more like individuals that have an animalistic sense of identity instead of, just strictly animals that exist.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's more of that like mindset or even physicality depending on the person.
Yeah, I mean like the definition was supposed to include werewolves whenever it was basically first created, so yeah.
Yeah, but I also try to avoid saying werewolves because it's the basic definition of like werewolf, but then you kind of have to go, is it Twilight werewolves? Is it like literally there's so many different definitions of werewolf.
There's a lot of werewolves.
It makes people look at me like I'm about to turn into, well,
a werewolf?
A werewolf.
I'm a werewolf.
Which I have used to scare the shit out of people before, but it doesn't work when you're trying to actually describe it.
I used to have a bumper sticker on my old car that said, lycanthropy is a feminist issue. And I had so many people come up to me and they're like, what does this mean? And I was like, you wouldn't even understand if I explained every bit of it to you. Like, this is a for me sticker, not a for you sticker.
Yeah.
Real good.
I have a shift happens and
that's good.
God, I can't remember the other one, but yeah, I have two werewolf and the Therian symbol on my car because
and it definitely means a lot to people. And I think that as there's been more exposure, I've seen a lot of misconceptions, not necessarily out of like a malicious intention, but just because there's a lot of information and also misinformation out there about what Therians are and what they aren't, more importantly. So that's why we're here to yap about it.
Oh, yeah. And
like we said, it's very, very, very old. I think that that's like one of the biggest misconceptions.
Yeah, from 1994 or a little bit earlier, actually. I think people started talking about it in 93, like feeling like werewolves and everything. But, like some of the earliest cave art was of animal-human hybrids. So we've been here for a while.
Actually, I think one of the oldest statuettes, I'm quoting Kage here because I don't have all the details in front of me because I didn't think about it. But I think one of like the oldest statues they ever found in like Germany, like caves in Germany, was a human lion hybrid statue.
Real.
So
I think I've heard similar.
We've been around for a very long time.
A very long time. And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking like, what is the difference between Therian and furry? And I would say that furry is a hobby as opposed to more of an identity. But I'm sure that people could argue otherwise. Like some people are so into furry, like they couldn't imagine life without it, which I would consider an identity. But this is sort of more more spiritual, I would say, but
it's more integral, I think is the word. Yeah.
Integral, very, very good word.
The way I understand it in my head is it's the difference between a character and yourself.
Right.
Because I have graphics, my duchy, and even I have Ruby as my wolf persona, but she's also my Therian self. Whatever you want to say it. She's me. But the difference is furry to me is more performative and more character driven. Lack of better terms, role playing. Where being a Therian it's what you are.
Yes.
There's I cannot separate it.
It's a soul intertwined connection.
Even my therapist, when we when we got a cat, her response out of just her question to me was, so what does the wolf think of her?
Real.
And I'm like, I was never a cat person. Someone hurts this kitten, I'm burning the world down.
Right.
Real.
So that actually, as I said, my therapist knows I'm a Therian, and she will address the wolf of oh, okay, understood. It streamlines things a lot.
And it affirms things to have an animal identity, or I guess even a non-animal identity, reinforced in day-to-day life as what you are walking around this earth. Absolutely, as is, as opposed to furry, where you put it on and take it off and you go to your day job and it's not that side of you. And I'm sure, there might be people thinking, well, I do feel like an animal all the time. And if that's the case, well, do I have news for you? Thank God you're here. Because you might have to discover some things about yourself. Because like I said, there's a lot of intersection, for somebody who's maybe Therian questioning or has never even heard the term before. Furry is a very attractive prospect to say hey, you can be an animal and go to conventions and be in this space where no one's going to question that sort of behavior. But the connection, it stops there, and it's what happens after the convention, what happens after you take the fursuit off.
And it might be a fun comparison. It's kind of the difference between, if I had to give a real world outside of the furry fandom example, it's the difference between being trans and being a drag queen.
To a point. Yeah. I feel
yes, I know it's also the thing of, I know a lot of drag queens are trans, a lot of furries are Therian.
There's it's like a Venn diagram with the section in the middle.
It's an oval.
Yeah. Fursuits are just animal drag.
Yeah, truly.
It's not one for one exact, but it's the best. If I had to give someone a light bulb moment, that's going to be it.
Yeah. Totally.
I think another way to go through this as a concept more so is to explain our personal journey with it. And I'd love for our guest to start off and sort of tell us a bit about its coming into itself as a wolf.
Oh, real. Yeah. So I think the best thing to preface that is that wolves hasn't always been wolves. Whenever I originally found myself, I had thought that I was an Australian Shepherd for a while. And even before that, I thought that I was a Puccina and other things. But back whenever I got into the community, which is early 2016, early 2017, I had gotten introduced to it through someone that mentioned that I, quote unquote, might be kin. And I didn't entirely know what that meant. And I stumbled through about 2 years of the misinformation era that was happening on Tumblr at the time, to where there wasn't many set definitions, or there weren't very many places where you could go to find them. And it just kind of stayed trapped in that puddle for about 2 years, up until 2018, whenever I started finding other forums and other places where people were the people over on Tumblr aren't quite using the exact same terms that we are, despite it being the same word. There was a conflation of the word kin for a very, very long time. And that's still something that happens, and they're two different phenomena. But it took me a while to find the right words. And once I did, the doors kind of bust open, and I was okay, shit, I have been secluded from this for so long. It took me up until about 2020 to, or actually, that's another thing to go over. 2018 to 2020, the Therian community was not perfect either. And honestly, you could pull a date farther earlier than 2018 to pick a point where it wasn't good. But a lot of the 2000s to 2010s was filled with what was known as grilling, which is where you basically sit down in a channel or something. And sometimes this is voluntary, and sometimes this is something that is done to gain access to discussion channels and other things. But you'd sit down with some of either the mod staff or other members that had been there for a while, and they would basically just walk through and kind of make you break down things about why you felt the way that you do about your identity, and what led you to feel this way. And in all honesty, it scared off a lot of fucking people because, like, if I want to discuss therianthropy and I don't know what's going on, I feel like a therianthropy discussion room is where that needs to happen.
Right.
Not I don't know anything. I don't know how to answer any of this, and now I am closed off from those sort of discussion channels. So anyways,
I mean, could you imagine that with any other kind of identity, like even just transgender in general, or like even furry? To be, well, what's your persona? Well, why? Like,
exactly.
Like, that's not helpful to anybody. But
and it really isn't.
Why did you pick Sparkle Dog? Come on.
Yeah, that's like
exactly
gatekeeping at its finest.
Yeah, and even back in the day, there was like this term where if you weren't like quote unquote serious enough, you would be called fluffy. So like if you were like a Sparkle Dog, or if you had something like similarly obscure or out of the range of what was considered normal by old head Therians, you would like just get called fluffy about it. I think that a lot of what we see today with the non-human community really started to prosper towards like early 2020, late 2019, potentially. I feel like once discussion really started to pick up more on platforms like Twitter, and once Tumblr got back around to like having more in-depth discussions about Therian, non-human, etc. terminology, we kind of got to the point where we're at now, to where it's like you don't really ask questions about people's identity first to gauge whether or not they know what they are. You kind of take them at their word because no one has a better idea of what it is to be them than them. So it's a lot of things in between that. But I figured out that I was Therian like a lot earlier than anything that happened on the internet, because I was very much a dog very, very early. And once I figured out what the term Therian was, it was a lot of going back and looking at that and going, God damn, this has been staring me dead in the face. I remember reading the term Therian for the first time before I like actually delved into it on like Wikifur or something, and going like, what the fuck? How can people think they're animals? What the hell is going on here? Like, it's very silly to be on the other side of this, but I'll let someone else yap.
You're fine. It's
yeah, you're totally okay.
Like I didn't know what else to say, because it's like I was actually kind of enthralled listening.
Yeah, same.
Real glad to hear such.
Yeah, no, keep going. Keep talking about your discovery. I'm making notes as you go, but they're off topic. So
okay, real. Yeah, I feel like an important part to mention in this is that like discovery doesn't like really ever stop. I have changed species God knows how many fucking times, and the only one that's been constant has been coyotes since I had like a spiritual break in 2020. And things will come and go in between here and there, and coyote will feel less and more full. But recently figuring out that I was a wolf was like very, very integrally enthralling. And I feel that the reason that I kind of shied away from being a wolf for a while, or like didn't really address some of the feelings that I was having about it, was because I was afraid of getting called fluffy whenever I was younger. So I just kind of shut down all of those feelings whenever they surfaced at all. Specifically, people used to get called wolfaboos.
Yes, I remember that.
Just fucking silly. But in kind of tandem with figuring out that I was a wolf, and just a little bit before as well, I started exploring what has come to be known as physical non-humanity. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that is kind of spread about therianthropy, and one that I have hammered home in the past, is that it is not a physical thing whatsoever, which is just not really the case. Like, my body is fully that of an animal's, number one. Number two, I am an animal, thus this is my body and I am physically this animal. You wouldn't like go up to a trans person and say like, you know, you're a man, right? Like that's just not something that fucking happens. But obviously this sort of identity isn't something that everyone takes on. Even if you're Therian, you might still be comfortable with your humanity to some point, and physical non-humans might only feel that they're somewhat physically non-human. There's also another term called holother, which is a term that denotes an individual who is fully physically non-human, in contrast to like feeling partially non-human, partially physically non-human. God damn it. I've screwed that up several times whenever I've said it out loud.
I know what you mean though. Like,
yeah, keeping definitions upstairs like on lock is kind of something that's difficult, especially with as many as there are.
And I feel like it's a community that has a lot of very specific language because it's necessary to describe like the experience. A lot of it is what it isn't as opposed to what it is. And I think that's where a lot of misconceptions come from, because it's not that it's difficult to say these things like at face value. It's just difficult to kind of unpack them, to put them into, I guess, more human, quote unquote, human language.
Yeah, that's completely correct, because it's like trying to get to a point where someone else can actually understand what you're getting at.
And it's like, it's the physicality of it that
exactly.
makes the meaning.
It's difficult to understand.
It's kind of like the LGBTQIA plus. I've lost track of all the acronyms because it is hard to put a word to
everything,
something that's personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, right, and nobody wants their experience to be scrutinized or like quote unquote forgotten about.
Yeah, and some individuals, and like some individuals don't like to use the word queer or etc. And then there's also individuals that are like within non-human spaces that might be very much an animal and just don't want to be called Therian about it. There's stuff like that.
Yeah. I've always strayed away from the word just because people don't fucking understand what it is.
I think
Therian or queer?
Like Therian.
Oh, okay.
Therian, sorry. No.
It's like that goes for both.
I am a trans lesbian. I don't need that. That's my two titles. But using Therian, it's like Therian, and now I have two heads, and you're looking at me like I have two of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's easier just to, like, my wording is usually just to say my wolf half.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I still get looked at like I'm crazy, but they understand it better.
I just say I'm a wolf and let them deal with whatever's going on upstairs afterwards.
Let them figure it out. I wanted to go back to something you mentioned, 2020 being kind of a more solidifying time, and I feel like that's when Therianthropy kind of hit, I don't want to say the mainstream because it's like it's not the mainstream, but it's like the furry sub-community.
Furry collective knowledge. Yeah.
It was kind of baffling, but at the same time it kind of made sense. And I think if we were to look at the stereotypes that the community presents, and don't let me go on a tangent, but a lot of it is that the community has a lot of they have a lot of younger folks now, right? Typically people under 18. Like there's a lot of minors in the community now. And my thought coming from a therapeutic lens is the criticism I see of that is like basically the pandemic put these quote unquote kids inside and made them go, crazy and get into like this weird internet stuff that they were never into before. Now, I think that that's a really cynical way of thinking about it. And I think that that would be like the first thing that people come to when they want to criticize it, where it's like people are just this and that and they want attention or whatever, like any of the other pandemic things that people have going on. But I think that that was a time globally where people took the time to like look inwards, I guess. And on top of that, to consider what the outside world means to them and what nature means to them. And it was just a lot of factors combined where especially people who are younger could look at themselves and say, hey, I feel like I have this other identity aspect of it, and now is a good time to explore it.
Oh yeah, totally. I feel like a lot of my 2020 and like ensuing pandemic time that followed that was just like shredding anything going on upstairs apart and trying to figure it all out. And then also getting incredibly worse, like incredibly worse.
Yeah.
And it for the best, in all honesty. I definitely changed over the course of 2020. And as you were saying before as well, the Therian community did as well. In my opinion, I feel like the catalyst for this was OtherCon 2020. Which was the very first OtherCon that happened. OtherCon is a online convention that takes place basically just on Discord that's hosted by Dino Canid. And the very first one was really incredible because it was one of the first times that basically everyone from every platform was in the same place at the same time. And it definitely broke my brain open past the point of like, because I was very much, before 2020, I was very much of the opinion that grilling was something that someone needed to go through to be a Therian or like to have a solid sense of their identity at some point in time. That shit broke me open, and I was like, this is very stupid for me to be holding this sort of position on that. And then the rest of 2020 broke that down even further. Also, to touch back on what you were saying, I feel like individuals that hear about non-human identity for the first time kind of have a notion to dismiss it as something that is a recent internet phenomenon and not something that has been going on for 50 years, like in the sense of its current state, and very much has been a part of human history way, way beyond that. Non-human identity currently can be traced. Do you all mind if I go into like a little bit of history currently?
Please.
Okay, cool.
As I said, I'm really actually very fascinated.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So current lineage for non-human identity can kind of be traced back to the Elf Queen's Daughters as a catalyst. The Elf Queen's Daughters were a group of pagan folk that were one of the first individuals that kind of thought that they were something else other than human, which specifically specifically was elf. So they called themselves Elfkin, and the original Elf Queen's daughters would go around the country, or not entirely go around the country, sorry. They began publishing in the Green Egg Pagan magazine, and that ended up branching out into, I think, mailing lists, and then people meeting up and creating vortexes, which is basically just like the elven word for coven. And they ended up organizing just something that was like this prototypical network of individuals that all thought that they were elves. This is way, way pre-internet. This started in about like 1971, 1972. The dates are kind of hard to find exacts on, of course, but
yeah, through magazine and zine communication to get those long distances.
Yeah, exactly. So
interconnect.
Whenever the internet came around, one of the very first things that happened was the Elven mailing list. And the Elven mailing list was where the term Otherkin was first coined in, I think, 92. And if the date, there's been like a little bit of discrepancy about whenever the date of the first use of Otherkin was, but it's supposedly around like July 9th, 1992. So that happened, and Otherkin was coined at that point in time to denote anyone who wasn't human and had any sort of non-human sense of identity, because just calling people other than elves the whole time wasn't something that was going to work for them.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then around this time is whenever the Usenet board alt.horror.werewolves was created, which is the original place where Therian discussions started to happen. Obviously,
right. And Usenet also had a furry board completely separate too, which is important to note that, like, you know, again with that Venn diagram.
Yeah, there's like very similar sort of overlap on this, but it wasn't a whole circle. And especially like early in these days, the only real people that had access to Usenet were students or professors that had like higher level computer access, because the internet wasn't a thing yet. This is like pre-internet.
Right.
So very limited discussion started to happen about just like werewolf horror movie and stuff. And then eventually at some point, someone popped the cherry and was like, hey, does anyone else feel like they are a werewolf? And then the rest is really history. I
thought I was the only one.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone said in unison.
Yeah. An important thing to like note about this point in history is that there wasn't really as much of a distinction as to whether or not people, or critters rather, felt that they were either completely non-human, like completely physically non-human, or not physically non-human. It wasn't much discussed from what I understand. Everyone like would go at each other's heads for as what was the right way to be experiencing this, of course, but still.
Right.
Continuing
more
on
of a trial by fire, like.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess it's a baptism of fire if it's right at the beginning, where like everyone is kind of scrambling and obviously
trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, to say like, well, this is legitimate, this isn't, to find those definitions, and of course that's going to be messy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The entirety of alt.horror.werewolves is just kind of like the Wild West of Therianthropy, and if you go back there, it's not really civil. It's kind of insane, but such as animals trying to find their words for the first time. So going further on down the timeline, next like big point of importance, one of the first meetings of non-humans within the flesh, at least within Therian spaces, was at the Harvest Moon Howl in 1994. The word howl is used to denote a gathering of Therians. So like basically any more than two is considered one. You can have like micro howls and stuff, but still, this was like the very, very first one. And it happened on the full moon in November. And since then, Therianthropy Day is also celebrated on each full moon in November.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Do we want to bring up that I was born in November? So this is just great for me.
No, exactly. And then continuing a little bit further on, there was a lot of discourse between LMAO, between Therian and Otherkin spaces as to, number one, whether or not the other was real, because obviously motherfuckers are going to fight over that, because what else do you have to do with your time?
Yeah.
And then also a lot of infighting. And then also the Theta Delta was created. And sometime in 2004, I need to message my girlfriend and ask, because I know that she recently got like the exact date that it was created on. And it would be nice to drop that in here, because I don't think that it's been officially published anywhere.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the Theta Delta, I'm sure you've seen it. It's the circle with the triangle in it, and then that little like dash in the very center. Yeah, that is like the Therian symbol.
Yeah, you might also see it denoted online as the separate lowercase theta and delta, just individually as well. But yeah, that's whenever that was created. coming up to like early 2000s and stuff was, I think Werelist was created a little bit before the 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. Werelist was at the same time it was alt.horror.werewolves for a little bit of time. So
I was going to say, for my discovering timeline, yeah, I think early 2000s was Werelist kicking off.
Yeah.
Because that was my second home.
Yeah, totally. I think that one of the other bigger things to happen was the TLC documentary of What I Think I'm an Animal, which is the name of the actual documentary itself. There's a lot of parts of that got memed and kind of threw non-human identity into the full radar of the internet at that point in time.
Is that the famous Naya Okami?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, on all levels but physical, I am a wolf, which is just not something that applies anymore. And we didn't at the time. But still, that happened and kind of thrust more limelight on what all was going on. There was a lot of discussion on, I'm going to see how I can touch on this without getting into drama. There was a lot of discussion on whether or not anyone that was involved with Werelist should even like reach out to the people that were coordinating that documentary, because obviously it's TLC. They're not really going to do a good job of actually describing what's going on for y'all.
Well, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like with most furry documentaries, just stay.
They did a furry one around the time, and it was like a My Strange Addiction, and they framed it. I mean, they had multiple where like it was either framed as sexual or some sort of like fursuit wearing obsession via social anxiety and shame, and it's like neither of those things are necessarily true in a vacuum. But
exactly.
Why would you trust that company to shed positive light on this already? You know, if you can't handle furry, I have bad news for you.
Would you be able to do any of this?
The answer is no.
No, absolutely. There were a good few critters that crossed the picket line on that. I don't know if picket line is completely the correct term for it, but that threw a whole wrench in the community for a little while, from what I understand, because forums, I'm pretty sure, ended up getting a lot of like new members that were just there to like troll and shit. So, but yeah, I don't know what the next big point would be after that, because I got into the weeds pretty soon after that. I think it is just worth mentioning that furries and Therians were at odds for a little while, because furries thought that Therians made them seem like less serious, and like, you know, furries don't think they're animals. So
right. So therefore furries aren't crazy is the word I see a lot. It's like, well, furries aren't crazy, but
just like I don't
you're
think
an animal, and it's like
just like I don't think that I'm actually an animal. Like I'm et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I think that's all the yapping I have to do about history sort of stuff.
And then go back to 2020.
Yeah.
Flash forward.
I was about to say, can we please not go back to that year? I'm trying to.
Let's not go fully back.
Yeah.
I could redo it better, but what about going back to 2020 though?
When did you make the flag? Or like, how did the flag come to be?
Yeah, so the Non-Human Unity flag was created on May 9th, 2020. I eventually got to a point where I was like, damn, there's not really a flag that has caught on yet, and not one that I felt that was visually pretty. Just not something that's nice to say, but that's what kind of did. I was like, kind of what spurred me. And then I was in a group, I think post OtherCon. No, this was before OtherCon, actually. I forgot, because OtherCon was in like August. And I was in a group with a whole bunch of other people, and I was just kind of tinkering around with this on my own. I had already messed around with combining symbology for both Otherkin and Therians before, which is just to explain some of the meaning of the flag itself to begin with. The Non-Human Unity flag is made up of 3 horizontal stripes of like semi-green, like a jade, white, and then like a dark purple. The green on it is supposed to represent Therians and other earthly identifying critters. White is supposed to represent all other non-humans. And then the purple on it is supposed to represent Otherkin and those with other sort of fantasy or fictional identities. It is also charged with a white circle that sort of goes out of the center white stripe, and is also charged with a combination of the Therian Theta Delta and the Otherkin septagram, which the septagram has also been known as the Fae Star or the Elven Star, because the Elf Queen's daughters were the first ones to use it. That's where that like symbol originally came from. Anyways, I'm messing around with this. It's like some fucking day in May and I'm bored as hell and it's quarantine, so I'm not doing anything else. I end up
the
posting...
source of all creativity.
Yeah, exactly. I ended up posting the flag to one of the chats that I was in at the time. I can't remember the exact one off the top of my head. I think it was just a small friend server or something. And then like 2 seconds later, one of my friends had posted it on Twitter and was like, hey, we have a flag now. I'm like, hold on, I ain't done. So if you look around, there's kind of different versions of the flag. There's like little white holes in where the triangle is aligned and like the circle and everything. And nothing's really centered, in all honesty, because this thing was made on Google Drawings. Nothing real pretty or fancy. So that's whenever that was created. It took off pretty fast whenever that initial post was created. And I just kind of ran with it. I was like, all right, cool. I guess this is where we're at the moment. There's a bunch of other prototypes where I was using different colors and stuff, but I like felt like that was the easiest one to show people at the time that were on Discord, and I was just trying to get some feedback. And I guess the feedback of, yeah, we have one now, I'm posting this, and then everything else that happened was enough feedback as I needed.
Was fake. I was gonna say, like, this is, I mean, I see that flag at least once a day, either in my contacts, like somebody I'm talking to in someone's bio. I mean, it's in my bio, right? And it's, I wanted to ask you how that makes you feel.
It's, God, whenever it first started happening, it was a little bit scary because I was like, oh God, this has grown like so far beyond me. And
it's huge.
It is
everywhere.
Huge. So I am originally from Arkansas and I moved to Seattle following a tornado that like ripped through my hometown. And I like moved here about like September or something. And one of my first nights out at one of the local bars, there's just like a shit ton of graffiti and stickers everywhere all over the walls. But specifically like on one of the signs in the bar, someone had already posted a Triangle Man or Non-Human Flag sticker. My jaw just kind of dropped. I was like, how the fuck has this made it this far beyond me?
We love our flags.
Yeah, exactly. And it's shit like that that's scary to see. I was at a flea market that happened up here at one point in time, and there was this one woman that walked up to my friend Kyra and I, and she was like, hey, sorry, but are y'all Therian? And this was very much like a middle-aged woman, so I wasn't expecting this question, especially not that word. And I was like, yeah, what's your interest? And she was like, oh, like my daughter's into it. And it's just very, very cool to see that there's like adults out and about that are like cool with this stuff and everything. And I'm like, oh, it's really, really cool. That's cool to hear. And I happen to have a zine on the top pocket of my shirt. And like, for those that don't know, I also do zines about non-humanity, specifically with Project Nuz. I'll probably drop a link to it or like reference to it at some point here. But anyways,
link in bio.
Yeah, link in bio.
Link below.
But otherwise, I like pulled it out. I'm like, yeah, I have this zine if you want to give it to her. And on the backside of my zine, I have the flag on there. And she like saw it and then went, oh, she has this on her wall. And I like kind of broke down for a moment because the fact that someone that young is just looking up theory and stuff and like drawing it is number one incredible. The fact that I've managed to make that much of a reach is just also incredible and something that I'm incredibly thankful for. There's a lot that my role within this community has brought me, and I'm very thankful for my station, and I'm very thankful to be here.
I think that something that is really appreciated about your impact, Laika, is I think that you really hold history to high regard, for better or for worse. Like you don't neglect history. You like really like to incorporate it. And I think even the flag shows that, where you have, that original elven star incorporated into the design to show, your respect and reverence for those who came before. And like the fact that there even are, are like Therian old heads out there. And now we have like a new younger crop, despite the infighting that's inevitably going to happen in any community. I think that the unity is what people stay for. Like people will come, people will go, but the ones who stay are the ones that respect all that has come before and all that will come again.
Yeah,
and you're like an animal indicative of all of those things combined.
Wag. Wolves really, really appreciate hearing that. And like also to touch, the flag itself was kind of created to denote the fact that there was a dissolution of any sort of discourse that was happening between two distinct groups of like Therian and Otherkin, and like all of that separation that was happening was basically completely dissolved at the point that I made that flag. And I was like, hey, I feel like we should just fucking represent everyone at this point, because we need to be as one. This isn't something that we need to continue to fight about. It's stupid. Well,
especially during a pandemic where no one could go outside or like be with other creatures, or it made people reflect a lot and get in touch with that side of themselves. So it was kind of the perfect time to drop that philosophy.
Yeah, glad to hear such. Wag. And then I feel some other parts of my influence are probably, I used to do panels like early 2020 as well. I had done 2 panels at FWA at 2022 and 2023. I did one at FurPoc 23 with Hearth. I did one at A&E 23 with Hearth. And I feel like that also helped further discussion and also information of what was kind of out there. Because whenever people would ask what does all this mean? I'm like, hey, I've talked about it if you want to like listen for 30 minutes and just kind of get a gist on what's going on here.
We'll have to link that too for anyone who wants like more.
Some of the older ones are not as much terminology that I stand by now because of how much things have changed. Like even within the current edition of the zine that we have, that one still has a lot of like Therian is not a physical thing language, and I should have been better about being inclusive on that. We have a new one coming out soon, so hopefully that'll be taken care of. But Nuz #1 should be out soon, and like will be an actual like good thing to send to people and be like, here's some actual vetted shit that you can get your head in.
Exciting. Very exciting. We kind of went all over the place. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think I covered a lot more bullets than I damn should have. I apologize.
No, as you should have. Yeah, this is why we have you here.
Wow.
I learned things listening to you. In fact, I have Hollow there like saved because that fits me a little bit better.
Glad to hear such. I think that one thing that y'all did touch on that I kind of took the boat and ran on was, how did y'all get into Therianthropy?
Oh my God, that's a good question.
Isn't it?
I think I ended up reading a guide, but I don't remember who made it. And from there, I found you. Actually.
That makes sense.
Wherever I was on the internet in the world, because I had known about it, from like Tumblr, I guess, but back in the day, kin was a derogatory term almost to those, and you would hear like a horror cringe, that would be like part of the cringe compilations, right? And it's just
exactly.
Like, I was a little older than that crop, and I was older, but I was also a teenager, and that was just a bad combination of me being like, ew, like, I don't even understand what that is. Like, that seems stupid.
I was there. Yeah.
And I think a lot of us were like, because the internet is a harsh place, and maybe, that's sort of the mental replacement for, I forget what you called it, but sort of like, you're initiating rights from others. Instead, it was more internal, and it was like, well, you're not like that, so don't even look in that direction. And then eventually, as I got more into furry, and I think I saw more people talking about this thing, a lot of the points really resonated with me. And I was like, it's not something you can take off. That was the main thing. Or I was like, this is a 24/7, 365 experience, and it's a word to describe the way I feel and a lot of other people feel. And I think seeing more people open up about their experiences made me more confident in saying like, yes, this is something I feel, and it's validating to express myself as such and to like see others do it as well. So I wanted to be part of the community. I wanted to learn more, and I feel like I'm not as active as I'd like to be, and like I still have a lot to learn, but that's I guess the fun of it for me, like to see other people talk about their experiences. And this is kind of silly, but like, I don't know, I had a lot of like dog energy growing up. A lot of people compare me to a dog. Very validating, but I'm a therapist, right? Which is kind of a little aspect of that is like, what if clients found out that I was, I guess participating. And then I was like, well, I'm just a service dog. So it works out. Like I'm literally, I'm a real therapy dog.
I legitimately have a t-shirt because of jokes that was made in my family that says service human.
Yeah. I have
now, if I could find one that says service dog, do not pet, I would,
I'll get the service dog, please pet. Not on I guess not so much a therapy dog.
I'll explain mine. Like, that's part of mine. But I do have a t-shirt that says service human, do not pet.
Yeah, because Ruby, you said that you were around back when those forums existed and you participated in them.
I was curious about such as well.
I'm a lot older than I act. In fact, and this is by 1 week, and he can't complain because this son of a bitch is in the basement. I am the oldest in the Straight from the Muzzle staff. By 1 week. Because Space is 1 week younger than me exactly. Exactly 7-day difference between our birthdays. But I kind of can joke that I'm a Therian completely because of Kevin Costner.
How so?
Yeah, say more. That's such a you thing to say.
Because I've always been very dog-like too.
You are very dog-like.
It's my nature. I am 100% a black-furred wolf. From the day I realized what Therian was and figured out what I was, that has been a fixed thing. It's always been.
Real.
Yeah, the seed was planted the first of many, many, many times I saw Dances with Wolves.
Oh, that makes sense.
That does make sense.
I have that on VHS and I still have yet to watch it.
I've seen the director's cut over 100 times, and that is a 6-hour-long movie. At one point, I learned Lakota Sioux watching it. But it was seeing the interaction with, hey, you can spiritually be attached to an animal. Mm-hmm. And out of all the characters on there, I related to Two Socks the most, which is the wolf. Mm-hmm. And then it spanned it off to be the documentary fan. And this is, again, going to show my age. The documentary Wolves at Our Door. It was a documentary about the Sawtooth Pack.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
And I owned the DVD of that, and I watched it till the DVD cracked.
Fucking awesome.
And it wasn't the humans. I was I almost understood what the wolves were saying because of their behavior. My first attempt at a degree was in pack behavior.
Really? I did not know that.
I was a zoology major with a focus on pack behavior, specifically lions, orcas, and wolves.
Fuck yeah.
And what bothered me was having to give reference on stuff I know. It's like, well, why did they do this? I mean, they act this way because of this, and this. Well, where's your references?
Y'all don't know?
My own experience.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
How do you explain I speak wolf?
It's interesting you bring up Dances with Wolves because I feel like a big thing that a lot of people will say in the Western world is like, oh, isn't that just a spirit animal? And I think the misconception with that is that that's the only tradition that incorporates spirituality and like Synanthrope, like animal souls and this and that. But
your shamanic practices, your witchcraft ones, in fact, that's what originally got me into witchcraft was, hey, there are spells on shapeshifting.
Right.
Yeah. This sounds fucking awesome. Let's do that.
When I was like in later high school, when I kind of got over myself, I remember I got really into like learning about Native American like spirit animal practices, or like totem animal, I remember it was called. And I got really into like this concept of like what a totem, because I was searching for Therian, but I didn't know, I guess, the culturally appropriate way to go about it.
Real.
Yeah. And then the words for it. So I was like, I'm just going to like study this and get really invested in it, but not practice it. I'm just going to learn about it. And then later I was like, oh no, I'm looking for like a global phenomenon as opposed to this one specific, religion. But that just made me remember that because you said that.
Mm-hmm. Now, and again, I can say mine was in high school too, except my high school was 2004. I graduated in 2005. I, again, had always been what I would say, how I describe a wolf type. Always. I have a way of working with wolves and other canines that has freaked people out. And I'll tell those stories in a minute.
Wolves feel that.
But it's very much I just have this connect. I can't even, it's hard to describe it because it's like, why are you trans? I just am.
Yeah.
But I discovered what it was via Warelist, joined, and when Warelist went down in 2010, it shattered me because I lost my community.
Oh, rightfully.
And also this is probably going to be the first time I think I've used this language in over a decade, but one of the alphas I ran into, he had his own pack. He was one of my closest friends. He was a motorcycle mechanic, but I have a gap in my memory because of some medical issues to where I can't remember anything more than his Warelist name of Beowulf.
Oh, I think I know of Beowulf.
Yeah, passed away in a trailer fire.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good grief.
I got his beta messaged me the morning after and said, hey, he died in an electrical fire. He died in his sleep with his mate next to him.
Oh my God.
It's like, it broke me.
That's fucking heavy.
I think the only death that hit me harder was Steve Irwin's death.
Yeah.
Rightfully.
And it's like, I don't remember the name of his pack. And by the way, if anybody from Beowulf's pack is listening, for the love of all things holy, straight from the muzzle at gmail.com, straight from the muzzle on Telegram, send up smoke signals. I'll find it.
Quick little edit for the email. It shouldn't be straight from the muzzle at gmail.com. Ruby meant to say talk to the muzzle at gmail.com.
Real.
I want details. I at least want the story. I need that part of my memory back because I truly do miss him. He was a great mentor. And moving on to happier things. It was community that I just was attracted to. Even like Lakia, you keep saying WAGs. I literally my butt has been moving back and forth like nonstop. I wag nonstop. I even have issues with my coccyx, my tailbone. It hurts when I sit on it wrong nonstop.
No,
I actually just got over an allergy to chocolate with the same chemical.
Dog issues.
I literally have
issues.
species affirming medical issues.
Wolves feel this. Wolves has several.
I actually think, Kyra, I think you're the one that said that line one time.
Yeah, I think I was like,
yeah,
at least that's species affirming. Like,
yeah, but the two stories I have that are my true, this is where I can point and prove it. The first one was, I'm in North Carolina. It's the Western North Carolina Nature Center. They breed not werewolves, red wolves. Yeah. They bred werewolves, I'd be there right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But by the way, did anybody see that? I saw it on Facebook. It was a poll that said, do you think you could take a werewolf?
Yes.
And it was 100% yes. And then they qualified in a fight and it was 100% no.
Yeah.
That's all I could think of right then was, could you take a werewolf? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
in a fight?
of course.
No. But yeah, they breed red wolves, but they also had, I almost did it again.
I heard it.
I'd say bite me, but I'm on a podcast with two other wolves. I'm going to get bitten. But they had a pack of 3 gray wolves that were siblings, and they had a coyote named Candace. The coyote thought she was my mate.
Oh, real.
Like, she would nuzzle, if I got near her cage, she would nuzzle up next to it. She's like, I want to get near at the time, I want to get near my man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Come here.
Oh.
I one time went a month without showing up at the center, and I walked up and she snarled at me.
Oh,
Like,
she was
where
mad
the
at you?
hell have you been?
Ooh,
But the three wolves, I can't remember the male's name, who was the alpha of the trio, but you had Cheyenne, who was the omega, and you had Jenna, who was a white wolf.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm a black wolf. I'm a Blackford wolf. When her brother passed away, she stopped howling, understandably.
Yeah.
Like, she went months without howling. And the place does a monthly howl, which is literally what it's called. It's
Ours
a wolf
does
education.
That too. Yeah.
It's a wolf education thing where you actually go out at night and you howl with the wolves. They teach you how to howl. They do a little quiz show.
They teach you how to howl.
Yeah. I was only allowed to ever answer one question during the trivia portion, because if they didn't put that limiter on me, I'd answer every one of them. And I always answer the same question. What's the name of the wolf in Dances with Wolves?
Oh,
2
of
socks.
course. Yeah.
Because I always gave people a chance to answer, and it's like 2 socks. But one of my last time, oh shit, sorry, I clicked a button. I shouldn't have clicked buttons. One of my last times before I had to move away from Asheville, I went to the Howl as always, and I never went to the Red Wolves. I didn't care. I want to be near my species. So I let the crowd walk away, and I'm sitting there with Jenna. I was about to talk to her. During the day, if I showed up, she would play bow and race me around the enclosure. I'm on the outside, she's on the inside, and we're doing laps because she wanted to play.
Oh.
But she looked at me, and again, 100% true story, but she looked at me, looked down the path where the crowd was walking away. And once neither of us could no longer see the crowd, she turned, looked at me, head went up, and she howled.
Wow.
With me standing right in front of her. And I'm just like, that moment where your heart just stops because this can't be happening. And you hear everybody down at the Red Wolf enclosure going, oh my God. And I'm just sitting there in absolute awe.
Yeah, because wolf. You know how long it's been.
Yeah, of a wolf howling for me, at me, to me, speaking to me. And it's just, I think that was one of the last times I ever saw her because I had to leave Asheville and she was already like 13, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really nice goodbye.
I did get to meet the 2 wolves. They brought in 2 puppies, and I did get to meet them in person. One of them was a black wolf, and they were the sweetest goddamn things. You just had to know how to work with them. It's like you have to know how to put up that personality of I am another wolf, don't fuck with me.
Right.
Real. Wolf's been there.
And then the second one is this also leads into me being trans as well. One of my father's friends, who was a witch, she was actually an Anubis priestess. She had a coyote husky hybrid named Sable.
I love coy dogs. They're so smart and cool.
Sable hated men. Hated
Coyotes tend to.
Yeah,
it's very
coyotes
silly.
tend to.
So
I've heard this.
She's in her kennel trying her damnedest to rip that cage open so she could tear my throat out.
Oh.
So I walk in front of her cage. I look at her, put that wall up, and I go, shh, and I point my fingers down. She stops snarling, sits down, stares at me, and her tail starts wagging.
Which is like, for those of you who have never interacted with like a dog hybrid before, they're not obedient creatures by nature.
At all.
Like the wild part really overwhelms the domesticated aspect of them.
My friend looked at me and went, "What the fuck are you?"
And you're like, I should go home and think about this for a little bit.
Well, no, at that point in time, I already knew what I was.
Wonderful.
But from that day on, they had hardwood floors, and you know how fluffy koi dogs are.
Mm-hmm.
I would open the door. She would come barreling at me, and about 6 feet away from me would go into a roll, and she would be on her back, skidding across the hardwood floors. So she would come to a stop at my feet to get belly rubs.
Oh.
That's so cute.
That is so super cute.
But even a dog got loose in our neighborhood here, an aggressive dog, where there were kids playing in the neighborhood. So protective mama wolf came out. And I know the breed is not aggressive. I have 2 of them myself, but it was a pity. It was a big, aggressive pit bull. And everyone around me is kind of going, oh my God, don't. I just put my hand up, looked at him and went, shh. And just, I went into that posture, that energy, and went, nope.
Mm-hmm.
And he lunged at me a few times, but at no point did he come within like 3 feet, because it's like, I don't, this thing isn't acting like the other bipedal things, hairless things do.
How?
And that plays into more of the physicality of it all. Like those examples are less, ingrained in the more, I don't want to say mental, but you know what I mean? Like that's more of like a physical, spiritual aspect, as one would do in any kind of like spiritual belief or religion.
It's that energy that I can use, and it's been so long since I've been able to just willingly tap into it. But it's the wolf. It's her. It's the one that when we got the cat, my therapist went, so what's the wolf think of her?
Yeah.
And everyone will have a different story, and everyone will have a different like example. But every time people do tell, like, I love asking people, when did you learn this or through what means? Because the stories I hear are all so, it's beyond like, when I ask a furry like how they got their persona, they'll be like, oh, I like huskies and they're blue. No hate to blue huskies. Love me a blue husky. But like, it's like, I like this and it's this. But when I ask Therians, like, how did you discover your stereotype? It's this whole like rigmarole of like, I didn't want to believe it, but then I did. And then this happened to me and it was spiritually significant. And it's like, it's so fascinating. It goes very deep.
It really,
like
really
literally
does.
A wolf telling me you're another wolf is one hell of a thing.
No, totally.
Like
and
that,
like everyone has a story like that.
That howl probably happened like back in 2007, 2008. That's how long ago it was. And I still vividly remember that night.
Rightfully.
And I miss that girl so much. She was the sweetest, biggest thing you've ever seen. And it's just, she was the exact opposite of my fur color. So it was even that really interesting bonding.
That's so cute.
They stopped charging me to get into the nature center.
Fuck yeah.
Because I only went to 3 locations. I went to see Candace because I don't want my girl to be mad at me. I went straight over to Jenna, played with her until I couldn't run anymore. And then I went to the barnyard to play with the donkey because he liked Dazir's pet. And there's nothing cuter than petting a donkey.
I love donkeys.
Dude, donkeys are fun. Donkeys are so silly.
They're very silly creatures.
I didn't go anywhere else. I just wanted to be there to see my wolves.
Right.
It also didn't hurt that I volunteered at every event just so that I could be closer to my kin.
Right for it. Wolves is really excited. It's going to Wolf Haven International for the first time in like this early September. It's like a bit far south of Seattle. It's like near Tacoma-ish.
Oh, okay.
But really, really fucking excited because they have Mexican wolves there and red wolves and like so many other fucking
have you seen on Twitch the wolf?
I'm so excited to like volunteer at some point as well.
Have you seen the Wolf Conservatory that live streams on Twitch? They just have 4 cameras in their wolf pens.
If that's in New York, that's very close to me. I've been there before.
I just turned that on and watched them. They're sleeping, and it's like,
they're so
rightfully.
cute.
I'll look over. It's like, they're being cute. They're just laying there, but they're being cute.
They're being cute no matter what they do.
Yeah, wolves are by default cute.
Yeah.
How would you both explain shifting?
Ooh, okay. So this is something that I've worked on because it's kind of hard to describe such.
Yeah.
There's multiple types of shifting, one of which is phantom shifting, which is the easier one to explain, where you feel very similar to phantom limb syndrome, where an amputee might feel a missing or an amputated limb as though it were still there, but instead it's those parts that are of your animal side. So it's proprioceptive shifts or a proprioceptive hallucination of what it is to feel that sort of body. That's the easy one. The harder one to explain is mental shifting, which is a change in mindset to be closer to that of an animal's, but it can vary. Some critters don't experience them, and also like there's so much that goes into shifting for some critters. It took me like kind of years to get at the point that I'm at now, where I'm just kind of at a basal state with being an animal. For a long time, shifting took like being either tranced or like somehow inducted into it, and really didn't have control over it until I took until I broke my brain hard enough. So
Do you feel like that was a positive change for you?
Oh, yeah. So I figured out that I was a coyote basically the first time that I did acid, and then every other subsequent time was getting worse. Like getting worse / positive is what I mean by that.
Yeah.
But a lot of what that time did for me was kind of breaking down walls of repression and I'm not this, and like imposter syndrome and everything else that I had been harboring for so long. Because like I had coyote feelings for a long goddamn time, but thought that it made, quote, too much sense. So being able to just have my brain split open by a molecule and go, yo, you know, that might have more credence to it than you're letting it.
Right.
Was
bit
something
of an
that
ego death situation.
Yeah, was very much something that I needed. But yeah, getting to the point of being able to shift is something that varies between individuals, and some critters don't shift at all because they are innately animal, which is a term called Therian. And then there's some individuals that believe that they're like, they don't really shift, it just kind of slides around sometimes, and that's referred to as Synanthrope. Those are just two little like subsets.
I did not know that. That is so interesting.
Yeah, that one.
Again, old terminology for very specific bullshit. But yeah.
Hey.
That's what we're here for. Like we said, this is an educational episode.
Yeah.
It's like, even, again, like with dealing with that pit bull, but even my own dogs, I can literally growl to the point that it's like, oh, mom needs us to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Even like I interact and play with dogs like I'm a dog.
As you should.
Right.
We'll do this too.
There's more than once that you're going to see me just be on all fours, body check, and it's like down and on and play. And
it's actually
I come
very
out
frustrating.
covered in scratches. It is not even.
It's
so
very frustrating to have
to
refrain from doing so in front of people. Very difficult.
The comforting, and this is where it's almost funny being in the kink community as well. Like we went to a friend's house and they have a little dachshund, still a puppy, so thinks they're the size of a Great Dane.
Yeah,
but
at that age.
Tiny. But I got to get down on the floors on all fours and play and wrestle and like lunge over top of him and pin and rub. And it's like, wait a minute. Everybody here knows that I have a puppy side. So fuck it. I'm not going to hold back. And me and this dog went nuts.
Real.
I think there's a lot of intertwining aspects to like a shifted or continuously shifted mental state.
Yeah.
To the point where that's like normalcy or like comforting. We have written here in our little document, we had identity is deeply personal. For many Therians and other kin, their connection to a non-human identity gives them a sense of understanding, peace, or purpose. It's not about rejecting humanity. It's about expressing a truth that resonates with who they are, which I mean, I think that definition's a bit old in the, not rejecting humanity. I think some people definitely do. I think for a lot of folks, when I ask them origin stories or things like that, a lot of them were, this isn't 100%, but many critters have said to me, like, I was a neurodivergent child who only resonated with like the animals in my house.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like a fascinating phenomenon to say, like, animals communicate differently than like human communication is multifaceted and very frustrating because it's not direct.
Yeah.
And it's not like the body language is either minimal or very like minute and specific. And I think that the animalistic expression can be very relieving and validating and healing.
Yeah, wolves feel like canine behavior is very broad and like thrown at you.
Yes.
It's like they do tell you what they're trying to say. And whenever Wolves was a pup, it grew up with one of its first friends was a dog named Murphy. And Murphy is still on my altar in like a little picture frame.
Oh.
But that's where I learned a lot of, number one, canine behavior, but also how to play. And that has tied in so fucking far up to like where I am now, of course. But similar to Ruby, our family friends at one point had gotten a Shiloh Shepherd, which is basically like this big fucking German Shepherd that's like a lot fluffier. They're like wolf-sized, if I'm not mistaken. And I was playing with it whenever it was a puppy, and I was like full-on body slamming it and like growling because it was at that point with me.
Right.
It was really, really fun to do. But also like I was shifting around humans and didn't really realize what had happened until I sat up for a second and was like panting, and then they all looked at me. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Shit. And then it was never mentioned again. So real silly stuff.
Yeah. But even like sitting here right now, I have this thing where I will twitch my nose because
I have that.
And tilt my head. If I'm listening for something, I'll tilt my mannerisms.
And it
can't be separated. Like in theory, you could train yourself to not do that in public, but like, why would you? And I think that's more of the sentiment now.
I actually had trained myself to not do it.
Yep.
Me too.
And
It's masking.
I'm finally at the point now that I've trained myself to do it naturally again.
Yeah, right. I'm not human. I've only got a human shell that I have built up over time for survival.
Yeah, it's more of a thing to deal with.
Even the clothes I wear, not to sound like a fucking Power Ranger, but again, I'm black furred. Do you want to guess what color my entire damn wardrobe is?
Black. Wolves wear a lot of pelt colored clothes as well. I have like desert camo on right now.
Even when I went through on Amazon to get like a Christmas list together, my mother hates that I wear all black. She despises it. But literally the entire wish list is black clothes.
Yeah.
Because I don't mess it up. I work as a print press operator, but also it's my fur color. I'm most comfortable in it. It's nice. I actually want to get, it's kind of the furry side, but I want to get a tail and ears back so I can wear it because it's comforting to feel the tail hit the back of my legs.
I've seen a lot more people wearing ears and tails in public. Also, masks are a big thing as well in the Therian community.
It's real
Therian
fun.
Masks, as opposed to like a fursuit head.
Yeah.
I have one too.
I don't. I want to make one for myself though, really bad.
You can find them on Etsy. And also, and though yes, it is a pup hood, I have found a wolf pup hood that is in various different wolf colors, and
I've seen those too.
They're like $300 something though.
They're so pretty though. I like community and support. We could move there.
Yeah.
Because we did talk a lot about the online forums. I did go to OtherCon, the last one that was held, and I really enjoyed the experience. Ruby, I don't know if you've ever been.
I've never been to a HOW. I've only ever been to like 3 furry conventions.
Oh, it's an online thing.
The OtherCon is all on Discord, so you can participate. It's like there's panel rooms that you can go to.
Yeah.
But like,
I think I heard about
Discord.
it. I wish I had gone.
You would love it.
It's one of the weird things. I've only ever interacted in person with one other Therian, and they're my ex and one of my best friends. If you were in the original wearer list, I think they went by Sanu, Sanu.
I don't know them.
Because that's where I get Kove from, which is the name I go by in the Therian community. It comes from their book. The 2 characters were Sanu and Kove. And Kove book was written years before they met me. Matched my personality, black furred wolf.
Wow.
Oh.
See, weird little
Yeah, it's I have more proof that I'm a wolf than I have proof this is I'm not.
Yeah, real.
The only proof I have that I'm human is the mirror. And even that I question.
That shit ain't real.
Yeah, don't listen to that. It's lying to you. There is a lot of intersectionality with neurodiversity and queerness and trauma. I think that a lot of folks will talk about, that being sort of like what drew them towards the community at large, or like even just like, I think that any of those things will open the door for added self-reflection.
Yeah, real. And I just noticed in the identities experience, the common species and types identified with, while researching for this, I don't remember where I read it, but I read a snippet and my brain filled in the rest. Because your wolves, coyotes, dogs are your big, it's wolves in furries.
Yeah.
They're the big ones. Big dogs, pun
Big
intended.
dogs.
But I think the logical reason why is because in the time where there were as many wolves as there were humans, that's when the two species interacted.
Yeah.
There's now less wolves and a shit ton of humans. So
unfucking fortunately.
The spirits of said wolves attracted to the species they next most related to, which was the humans.
Right.
So,
I would also say too,
hi, other bitches.
the whole wolfaboo thing is really annoying because it's like, of course, the pack animal would want to create community and would be like the catalyst.
Yeah, it's real stupid.
Humans.
Yeah, it's quite bothersome where it's like trying to detest this with logic, and it's like none of this is logical, and also a lot of it is logical. You're just refusing to see it because to you it's cringe or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, the pack animals are going to group together, and now over time, more have opened up. I mean, there's somebody, I don't know what their name is or what they go by or what they identify as, but they like have dinosaur gear. And it's
That's
just the
hard
coolest
as fuck.
thing ever, right? And it's like a lot of it goes too into like, as we mentioned previously, like conservation and like just ecological. What's the word? Not intelligence, but like a sense of, ecological justice, because we're doing a lot of fucked up things to the planet right now.
We are, yeah.
If you guys haven't noticed, all you listeners out there, it's not looking too hot. So I think that any opportunity for a deeper connection is, should be looked into or even just supported, because we need it so bad right now.
Mm-hmm. And then I think like the last thing is the media portrayal. And in all honesty, the only thing I could think of right now, because this almost doesn't feel like it would be furries, it's the freaking, what is it? The false story of litter boxes in schools.
That's the one that came back. That's the one that came to mind for me as well.
That sounds more like us than it does furries.
And it's
but at the same time,
what it was used as.
We know better. It's kind of one of those, for lack of better terms, we know better.
No,
we know
absolutely.
how to interact with humans.
Yeah, a lot of it is going to end up being
sensationalizing.
Yes, precisely. Took the words out of my mouth. It's a lot of it is sensationalized. Like every Therian I've met is like, I'm just a dog. Like it's never this intense thing that people make it out to be. Like
I ain't got to shit on the floor whenever I come over. Like
right. Yeah. Don't gotta pull out the litter box.
We know how to act human. We learn how to be human before we figured things out, so we know how to act.
I've been in a car for 23 years. I know how to drive.
Yeah, wolves can drive.
Wolves can drive. Unfortunately. Look out.
Look out. Oh my god. I think that we covered a lot of great ground. I think that hopefully, for those of you out there, this is not a way to reach out and try to convert anybody. Full disclosure. Like if you're listening and you're at the end of this, you're like, yep, I'm still just a furry. That's awesome. And I'm happy. We're so happy to have you listening, and we're grateful for you. I love furries. I love being a furry.
Yeah.
But for some of you, if you're raising an eyebrow and saying, a lot of this really resonates with me, if either of you have resources to share, where could somebody go after this? Where would be the best place?
I think Zine in bio is probably a good pointer.
Yes.
I also feel like if you want to get into deeper non-human discussion or look up deeper non-human discussion, Tumblr is unironically the place to do it nowadays. If you want to go on there and look up some stuff that you're experiencing, like physical non-humanity, or if you just want to see others that share your kin type and see what they're experiencing, Tumblr is a pretty decent place for discussion like that. There's also
a good
Discord
website
servers.
to navigate.
Yeah. There's also Discord servers and stuff, which I'm completely out of the loop on because I just don't touch Discord.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of Telegram channels and stuff as well. I think Hearth runs one, but I can't.
And not to mention, if you have any specific questions, you can email us.
Yes.
Again, that's talktothemuzzle@gmail.com.
Or join our Telegram group.
The email will actually come straight to me because I'm monitoring that now. Space is dumping things on me. That's why I locked him in the basement.
Yeah, he's happy down there. He's got the puppies. He's fine.
Yep.
Can I shameless plug? Of
course.
Okay.
Wait. There is no shame here.
Yes.
I'm feeling shameful. I'm kidding.
No. Feel full of joy and glee and optimism.
Yes. Optimism.
Wonder.
Yay. I'm experiencing conversion. So my Blue Sky handle is coyote.tell if you want to see anything that I'm doing. I don't have a handle for Project Nuz on there. I wish that I did, so I could just upload that and then point people to that instead of my damn account so that people could get access to the zine and everything. But the zine is pinned on there. Also, to touch back on something, if you listen to this episode and you don't think that you're Therian at this point, I'm turning on my beam and I'm pointing it at you and I'm blasting you with Therianizing radiation until you do feel like a fucking dog. Start barking.
Start wagging now.
Start wagging now.
Doggy's orders.
Oh,
and plug your music. Listen to its music. It makes really good music.
Yeah, I make music under Synanthrope.
Okay, welcome back. We had some weird technical issue.
Laika was chasing its tail and ran
all
off
of a sudden
into the
everything cut. So it's just Ruby and Kyra back right now just to kind of finish up everything, say goodnight, where you can find everybody, and we'll have all of Laika's information in the description for this episode.
Either down below or wherever it is that you're listening. Thank you for tuning in. We always appreciate it. If this was a topic you knew a lot about, I hope you enjoyed, the history aspect of it all. And for those of you who've never heard of Therianthropy before, I hope you learned something. And I hope that it was enlightening and interesting, because it certainly was for us.
Yeah,
I think, even for us who have been in the community for a while, I learned a lot.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can jokingly call myself a gray muzzle at my age. And I learned things. And also getting to, I know it was a joke of saying that it's thanks to Kevin Costner I'm a Therian, but it really is.
Opener, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I love having those little openers, but it's the truth. It's little moments to kind of make you go, huh. Like, some random moment that you're hearing three yappy canines talking on a podcast.
Yeah.
Might be the catalyst that you needed. It's a very unique thing, and it's a topic that I'm happy we were finally able to cover. And never know, we might do a follow-up later on. I think that might be something. If I can find, actually, I think there's a new Steam game out that you can play as a wolf. So there might be a 90% chance that if it's multiplayer, I'll talk to you about it. But I might live stream just playing that, just so that it's like, hey, this is kind of, if you want an insight of my brain, here's what you're looking at.
We should talk a little bit about live streams in general, because rumor has it live streams might be a thing soon, straight from the muzzle live streams. Or so I've heard.
Our little outro. Thank you to Space, who is still locked in my basement.
Yes, thanks, Space.
Yep,
we'll let him out soon, maybe, if he's good.
Right now he's down there with a bunch of puppies. He's not complaining.
He couldn't be better. Yeah,
but Space has appointed me, promoted me, voluntold me that not really voluntold, I kind of volunteered for it. I will be running the Straight from the Muzzle YouTube channel, where we will be doing live streams of, I think by the time this comes out, the first live stream will have happened. Or technically the second one, where it's kind of a follow-up to the Magic the Gathering episode, where I have a bunch of people that are coming in to show everybody what a game looks like.
Super cool.
But we're also going to do planning out live episodes where fans can come in and give us topics, ask us questions. I'm hoping to make that like a once every other month, where we just kind of jump in and chat, like any of us that are available, go and chat on live stream for an hour, getting questions from our fans.
I'm so excited.
I might even, if I'm crazy enough, because this comes from one of my best friends who doesn't know how to cook. I joked that it's like, I'll make cooking videos for them because damn it, I know how to cook. I'm a really good cook. So might do a cooking video just because.
I love that. You have to dress the part though.
Oh, I totally will.
Or do it in fursuit.
I will not do it in fursuit because I do not want to mess graphics up, but I do have an apron that says fuck kale, so I might be wearing that.
What do you have against kale?
Well, nothing now thanks to my taste buds shifting, but I'll figure I'll be as like just extremely out there as a chef. I might even do the Swedish chef if I feel like it.
Love that.
Bork. But yeah, any kind of ideas. And if any of our fans have something they want to see, and even to be in live stream, I might just randomly pop in and do a game every now and then. Like for 4th of July, I did Fireworks Mania, kind of to test the system out. Rumor has it, up the episode list, we have an idea of doing a VR chat episode. So I'll be able to live record us in VR and upload it to our YouTube. I know we've been uploading our episodes to YouTube as well. So we're trying to bring it back from the grave. And I'm looking forward to taking my knowledge of streaming and recording and putting it into that.
Yeah, so if you have any questions that you would like to ask us live, try and throw us off our rhythm.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. We're ready for anything. But
actually, one other really random idea I'm thinking about doing, and I'm going to put this out there because it makes it so I have to do it. Also debating on doing during holidays, so Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day, I might live stream like in Mystery Science Theater 3000 style.
I always watch that on Thanksgiving. I love Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Well, also, I'm going to pick movies that are like, try to pick what are they called, public domains.
Yes,
just shitty movies that nobody would ever copyright claim in their life.
We don't have to include this, but if you do that, please remind me, because I will draw us like as silhouettes.
Yes, please.
Like our personas as the silhouettes at the bottom. I will 100% do that for us.
I thought about that, but also not just because it's fun, but also to give any of our fans that don't have family or don't have anywhere to go on those days, it gives them our family,
right?
That we can show them, hey, come spend time with us, come talk shit, come watch me on camera drink eggnog and cook whatever the hell I'm cooking for Yule this year, and we can joke and laugh like the family that we are.
Yeah.
And
that's so sweet,
because I'm done Christmas Day by like 2:00.
Yeah.
So then to like 11, 12 o'clock, I can freaking stream just talking shit. So people who have had a very lonely day, because the holidays suck sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
A very lonely day can just enjoy it. So enjoy having people that come in, hey, I want to talk to people.
Yeah,
So
we absolutely should do that. A lot of big things coming up.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of big things.
We're trying to take the podcast to its next logical level, and I'm very looking forward to it.
I know that we have a lot of fun interviews. I won't spoil anything, but we have...
Spoilers!
We have a more sports-themed episode, Extreme Sports, and then we also have a more musical-themed episode, but that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say coming up.
And we also have witchcraft, we have horror movies, our general Halloween-y shit.
Yes, we're already planning and getting excited for Halloween, because of course we are.
Might even have our next adult episode with interviewees.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know that.
I'll tell you about that one when we stop the recording, so I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. But for now, I mean, we'll be here, and we appreciate you listening. And Ruby, you did a wonderful job hosting, even though Space is locked in the basement.
Yeah,
I'll go. Blessings.
I'll go let him out. So because we have to record later on for something else.
Oh, that's true.
So I'll go let him out of the basement in a minute. So
until then, our dear audience,
have a good evening.
Have a good night.
Day,
bye
good
bye.
night,
Thanks
day,
for
whatever.
listening.
Bye.